Periodic number 2, height of a roller coaster, is shown on the graph as it relates to time in seconds. And one day the operator falls asleep, leaving the people on the roller coaster for 53 minutes and 45 seconds. That's a hell of a ride. How high is the roller coaster when he finally stops it? So the first problem we're going to have is this whole thing here is in seconds. And I'm dealing with 53 minutes and 45 seconds. So 53 minutes and 45 seconds. And I need that all to be in seconds. So I'm going to go 53 times 60 to change that into seconds. And then I'm going to add that to the 45 seconds I already have, and that's 3,225. So that's the amount of time that they're running on the roller coaster. You need to always do your conversion into whatever your unit of measure is on your cycle, on your x-axis rather. Next thing to look at is the period. We need the period. Can't do anything without that. So you'll notice that the roller coaster goes up, stays flat, falls at a different rate, goes up again, comes back down, and then the pattern repeats. So the pattern repeats there, and then on that way indefinitely. So we need to know how long is this amount of time right in here. So we're going up by 25s here. 25, 50, 75, 125, 250, 275, 325 when I get back to that spot right there. I know it's a little bit small on the writing. Check your paper. 325 is a period. So every 325 seconds, this thing is going to repeat. It's going to go over again. And we're running it for 3,225 seconds. So we want to know how many periods fit into that. We're always going to do the same thing. We're going to take time, and we're going to divide it by the period. And when we can do that, we're going to get 9 point something or other. 9.9230, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to subtract 9. I'm always going to take away the whole cycles, and that leaves me with this decimal right there, which I'm going to multiply by the period, which we know is 325. And the reason I'm doing that is that's the percentage, if you think about it like a decimal is a percentage. That's the proportion of the percentage of the new cycle I'm going into. I've done 9 full ones plus 0.92 of a new one. It's going to be right up in here somewhere, right at the end, 0.92, 92%, if you think about it. But we'll show you what that looks like, times 325, and that gives me exactly 300. And that's my x. So once you've done that decimal times the period, you've got your x. That's not the answer, though, because remember, we want to know how, the question is, how high up is he? So now the next step is we need to know where that is. So where is the x 300, and what is the what is the location? What's the corresponding y? Well, 300 is very close to the end, but it's not quite. So we need to know where. It's right about there, which is going to be on this section of line right here. And I want to emphasize the use of that word line. We're going to use y equals ax plus b with an x of 300 in the equation of that very steep line once we know the equation. And we know 2 points on that line. We know this point and we know this point. This point over here is 250, 275, 300, 100. You can read that right off the graph. And at its bottom, it goes 325, 0. So we're going to get the slope. Y is equal to 0 minus 100 over 325 minus 300. Right, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is negative 100 over 25. And we're going to go negative divided by, and that's going to be equal to negative 4. So that's the A. Now we need the B. We're just going to use one of those points. Y equals 4 x plus b, and those xy's are going to come from, let's use 325, 0. So 0 is equal to 4 times 325 plus b. Negative 4. And that's going to become 0 is equal to, clear that up, Negative 4 times negative 1300. Add that 1300 to both sides, and you're going to get 1300 equals b. So that means this point when the x is 300 is in the line negative 4x plus 1300. And once we have the equation of that line, we're just going to put the x in. And we know the x, what do we get there? X is 300, so y is equal to negative 4 times 300 plus 1300. Excuse me, negative 4 times 300 is equal to that, plus, gives me 100 for the y. That's the height when the x is 300 in the equation that came from the 2 points that we found. And this is the trick. You have to know which points to use, and they're told to you by looking at where your x is. Once you know your x is here, you know you're on that section. If the x was here, we would use this section and we'd use these 2 corner points. Keep that in mind.